Imagine this first. You're maybe 7 years old, just a little kid, and you're looking at a parent, someone you depend on, falling apart.
Yeah.
Could be addiction, could be anger. Maybe it's just this awful empty silence. They're just, and something inside you, really old, just click. You don't even think it, you just know, okay, I don't hold things together here. Nobody.
That feeling, yeah, that silent promise.
Exactly. And that moment, that sort of silent vow, that's really our jumping off to a deep dive into psychology of a child who grew up too fast.
We're drawing a lot from the Key YouTube channel for this one. It's really powerful.
Definitely. And our mission really is to unpack what's actually happening, like developmentally, when a kid gets pushed into these adult roles way too soon.
Right. And to look at the costs, which are often pretty hidden, wouldn't you say?
Totally hidden. And how these patterns stick around, showing up in adulthood, in your relationship, job, how you feel about your...
And importantly, how you can maybe start to heal from them, because you're not just stuck with it forever.
Absolutely not. So let's start with this idea of the child kind of disappearing. It's not like they physically vanished.
No, it's psychological, deeply psychological.
The kid learns, okay, smile more. Definitely cry less. Get really good at reading the room, figuring out the mood before you even say anything.
They become the emotional thermostat for the whole family, don't they? Always trying to adjust things, keep the peace.
Yeah, and the world often looks at this kid and says, wow, so mature, so responsible, so strong.
Right, but nobody asks, okay, but at what cost? That's what our sources call the invisible grief, the childhood that was lost in the process.
And there's a term for this, isn't there? When the child takes on that adult emotional role.
Yes, exactly. Psychologically, it's called parentification. It's essentially when a child is forced, implicitly or explicitly, to provide emotional support to the adult.
So they become the caregiver, the peacekeeper.
Or the little therapist, the protector, for their own parents or siblings. And it's not just like unhealthy. It actually rewires the brain.
Rewires the brain. Wow. So, okay, the child is suppressing their own stuff, stepping up. That's happening inside them. You mentioned hyper-vigilance.
Yeah, hyper-vigilance is a big one. When you're constantly responsible for managing other people's feelings, predicting their reactions.
You're always on.
Exactly. You're always scanning for danger, for shifts in mood, basically walk on eggshells like all the time. Your nervous system is just permanently dialed up.
And that must mess with how you understand affection, right? How you see love.
Oh, completely. You often learn subconsciously that love is, it's transactional. It's not just freely given.
So it's like, I do this for you. I keep things calm. I solve the problem.
And maybe I get some safety back or just less chaos.
Yeah.
It becomes this trade. You give peace, hoping for safety.
That's heartbreaking. It's not even about big gestures, is it? It's probably really subtle.
Very subtle. Constant people-pleasing, always monitoring yourself, believing your worth is tied to how much you do for others.
And tied into that is this idea that my needs are dangerous, but their needs are urgent. So you just vanish emotionally.
You bury your own feelings, your own wants. They feel risky. And something else grows in that empty space.
The mask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The mask. You become the good child, right?
Yeah.
The quiet one, the high achiever, the friend who's always listening but never shares their own problem, the one who never asks for anything.
And you wear it so well.
So well that even you start to forget it's a mask. It feels like who you are.
But it's not, is it? Deep down, that part you buried, that inner child, it's still there.
Still there. And maybe screaming silently, why didn't anyone step in? Why didn't anyone protect me?
So how does that silent scream, all that buried pain, how does it show up when these kids become adults? What are the patterns?
Well, it shows up in so many ways.
Yeah.
That survival strategy of being self-reliant, it can turn into what we call hyper-independent.
Meaning like you can't accept help, push people away.
Exactly. Refusing help, finding vulnerability incredibly difficult, maybe never feeling truly safe in relationships because letting someone in feels like you'll become a burden.
Or maybe the opposite, almost emotional numbness.
Yeah, that too. Finding it hard to feel joy, even in genuinely happy moments. It feels unfamiliar, maybe unearned, or even weirdly dangerous.
Dangerous because feeling good might mean letting your guard down.
Precisely. And then there's the struggle to just rest, to stop doing.
Oh, that's a big one. Productivity equals worth.
It's the only way you ever learn to feel valuable, maybe. So slowing down, relaxing, it feels fundamentally wrong, almost lazy, or like you're failing somehow.
We hear people described as old souls or so wise for their age.
And we rarely think about what might have made them that way, the experiences that force that maturity.
Yeah. And the really tricky part, I guess, is that you might not even realize you're still operating from that survival mode.
Right, because if chaos and dysfunction were your normal growing up, your nervous system just adapted, a baseline calibrated to that level of stress.
So stillness feels weird. Peace feels suspicious.
Exactly. Calm feels wrong. Love might feel like something you owe back, like a debt. Your internal alarm system is just way too sensitive because that's what kept you safe back then.
This sounds unbelievably hard, which brings up the question, why? Why would a child take all this on? It can't be a conscious decision.
Oh, absolutely not. The sources are clear. It's biological. It's about attachment. Children need connection to survive, and they will do anything to maintain it.
Even abandon themselves.
Even abandon their own authentic needs and feelings, yes.
Yeah.
If safety isn't available, the child instinctually chooses belonging over authenticity. It's not weakness. It's survival intelligence. Pure instinct.
And there's the paradox, the real tragedy, isn't it? What saved you then imprisons you now.
Perfectly put. You end up with these incredibly high-functioning adults on the outside.
Capable, responsible, got it all together.
But inside, there's this deeply neglected inner child who's still kind of pulling the string, overachieving to finally earn that love, staying quiet to avoid being abandoned, taking care of everyone.
While secretly just wishing someone, anyone, would turn around and ask, hey, are you okay?
And that deep longing, that fantasy of just being seen, not as the strong one, but just as you are. Maybe getting to fall apart and actually be held for once.
Yeah.
That's the unmet need. It's not really your adult self asking for that. It's the child who never got what they needed back.
So, okay, we've talked about the cost, the pattern. Where does healing possibly begin with all this? The sources say it starts not with fixing, but with witness. What does that mean?
It's such a crucial first step. Because until you really see and validate what happened, you'll likely keep minimizing it. Telling yourself,
oh, wasn't that bad? Or look, other people had it way worse.
I turned out fine, right? But deep down, that fine feels like, well, another mask.
Another performance.
Exact. Witnessing means finally acknowledging the truth of your experience without downplaying it, without making excuses for others, just seeing it for what it was.
And if you don't do that witnessing, you carry it forward. You become the adult who never feels safe, even when things are safe.
You become the lover who struggles to trust softness, the giver who finds it almost impossible to receive.
The person who apologizes for crying or flinches if someone gives them a genuine compliment.
Or confuses being utterly exhausted with being successful. Yep. It's a life lived, in many ways, holding your breath.
Just waiting for permission to finally let go, to fall apart.
But here's the really hard but also hopeful truth. No one else is coming to rescue that child you had to bury. You are the one.
You have to be the one to go back, metaphorically, and hold their hand.
Yeah, and say the things that child needed to hear. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. You were just a kid. It's okay to rest now.
And this is where shadow work.
This is the beginning of it, yes. And shadow work isn't about fixing yourself or slapping on fake positivity. It's not another performance.
It's more like turning towards those parts you had to push away.
Exactly. Turning towards the abandoned parts, the hurt parts, the angry parts, and saying, okay, I see you now. I hear you, and I'm not leaving you this time. That's the heart of reparenting yourself.
It sounds difficult, brutal even, as the source puts it.
It really can, because it means finally feeling the grief you didn't have space for back then, sitting with the anger, the sadness, all those unmet needs.
Especially weeping for the childhood you lost.
Yes. Weeping for the innocence that was sacrificed. But, and this is so important, that grief, that pain, it's not weakness. It's actually proof that you're healing.
Because what was frozen is starting to thaw, to fall away.
Precisely. It's movement. It's release.
Okay, so let's make this more concrete. How do these old survival patterns sneak into adult relief? Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes less so.
Oh, definitely. They can be very subtle. For example, you might find you're always the therapist friend. Everyone comes to you, you give great advice, but
you never let anyone see your own struggles.
Exact. Or you get praised all the time for being so independent, so strong, but secretly you're terrified of being needy, of being a burden.
Or maybe you're in a romantic relationship where you're constantly over-functioning, doing everything, managing everything, fixing everything.
Over-explaining yourself, trying to anticipate their needs, and then you end up feeling completely resentful and exhausted.
And boundaries, that must be a huge one. Saying no feels wrong.
It can feel like betrayal, like you're letting someone down or risking the connection because your role was always to say yes, to accommodate.
It's so vital to get that these aren't just personality flaws, right?
No, not at all. These are coping strategies. Brilliant ones, actually, for surviving an impossible situation back then. They were learned. They were conditioned.
And the good news?
The really good news is they can be unlearned, but it requires a shift. You have to stop sort of idolizing your strength, your resilience.
And start honoring your wounds instead. Give them space.
Yes. Start listening to what they're telling. And one really powerful way to start, something practical you can do, is to genuinely ask that inner child part. What did you need back then? What did you desperately need that you never actually got?
And just listen for the answer.
Just listen. You might hear things like, I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault, or I just needed someone to ask how I was doing for a change.
I needed to play. I needed to rest without feeling guilty. I needed to laugh without being scared it would trigger.
Exactly. All those simple, fundamental childhood needs. And then start trying to give those. You can't change the past, but you can stop reliving it in the present. You give yourself the safety, the validation, the permission now.
And that's how you break the cycle. That's how you stop looking for
That's a huge part of it, yeah. That's how you learn to trust your own feelings. Maybe differentiate anxiety from true intuition.
How you stop running from that child inside and start integrating them, becoming more whole.
It reminds me of what Carl Jung said. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. He basically said people will do almost anything, however absurd, to avoid facing their own soul.
And shadow work is about facing it all.
All of it. The parts you feel ashamed of, the scared parts, the angry parts, the parts that felt neglected. You turn towards them.
Because true healing, it isn't about becoming some brand new, different person.
No. It's about remembering who you were before the world, before your circumstances, told you who you had to be to survive.
So the main takeaway here, if you're listening and this resonates, if you're someone who grew up too fast, know this. Your maturity, your strength, that was never the problem.
The problem was that you didn't have a choice but to be mature, to be strong.
Yeah.
But now, as an adult, you do have choices.
You can choose softness, you can choose rest.
You can choose to stop trying to manage everyone else's feelings all the time and actually start honoring your own, making space for them.
And it's not an overnight fix.
Oh, definitely not. It's a process. There will absolutely be days you stumble, days you feel like that overwhelmed child all over again.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's part of it.
That's exactly the point. Let that child come forward when they need to. Let them finally come home. Let them cry. Let them be angry. Let them play. Let them finally be seen and heard by you.
Because you're not broken. You never were. You're just becoming whole.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, for the very first time, you're finally growing up in the way you were always meant to.
Not because of pressure or fear.
But through awareness, through truth, through self-compassion. You didn't get the childhood you deserved, perhaps, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to write it.